Absolute End, aka Episode 8 of Murder Drones, is one of the most confusing finales I have watched in all of animation. It's both disappointing, but yet still an amazing finale for Murder Drones. And yet, there is some parts of the community that split on that, and I want to talk about my thoughts on Episode 8 of Murder Drones. Hello everyone, welcome back to Panzer. It's your host Panzer speaking, and on today's video we are going to be discussing my thoughts on Absolute End, and why I think it's both disappointing yet amazing. I'm going to make this clear in the beginning, I'm taking heavy inspiration from Lud, who made a video on why Murder Drones Episode 8 was flawed yet perfect. I'm going to be taking some inspiration from that, but I'm not going to be repeating the same points. I'm going to give my own general thoughts on it. So let's begin with the context of the episode. This episode was supposed to reveal us some things. How would Uzi's arc end, End's arc, and V's arc, plus how would they deal with the Solver. Now let's talk about the episode itself before we can explain why it's disappointing, but also yet amazing. Just remember those payoffs in the end, in your head. We start off the episode with the opening scene of Uzi being in the middle of space, seeing the destruction of Copper 9. And we see her have a heart-to-heart with her mother. I think this is the first time Uzi's actually had a true heart-to-heart conversation with one of her parents. And I think this sets up her tone and her confidence throughout this episode. We then get interrupted by End, who's doing his End thing of flying a spaceship. That's amazing. But he and Uzi have a heart-to-heart conversation, not a verbal conversation, but a conversation with the text on their eyes. And in the middle of that conversation, Sin interrupts them by destroying their ship, and they both fall down. And while falling down, they both admit their feelings to each other with a beautiful song, Falling With You, being played in the background. And this is what establishes Uzi to be the ship of the show. I made a video on that, but let's continue on with the episode. They soon find Sin, are hiding from Sin because Sin is simply too powerful, and a V shows up. From what we learned from V knew about Sin, but that is a video for another time. We also see them then go into a battle with Sin after a bunch of things happen that I'm not explaining in this video. And during the battle, Bite Me is being played. It's an epic fight. The power scaling is completely off. In the end, Uzi and the gang win, and Sin's combined with Uzi's consciousness. And towards the end, Uzi's giving a presentation on the hero's journey, and then we cut it out, and we go immediately to the end credits with Forever being played in the background. That is the entirety of the episode. Now I'm going to talk about the disappointing part. The pacing. I feel like it's dead obvious with the pacing of this episode. The fact that I can explain it in a minute could explain a lot of the pacing. Too much is happening way too fast. This episode would have been best if it was 10 to 20 minutes longer, realistically speaking, or split off to 2 episodes. But a lot of the major moments don't really get their breath. The fight is a pretty long scene, but still kind of feels anticlimactic, the fact that Sin was defeated so easily when she had every single goddamn power. We also see some of the other moments, like the fight with Jay and everything, just doesn't feel right because there's not enough time to explain the fight. But that's the pacing. We still have unanswered questions. Like I said, we don't know how Jay's story ends. We know how everyone else's story ends, but Jay's story we don't know how it ends. Sin's full motivation's kind of vague, but not really that much vague. It's still pretty vague. Like, if she was after destroying all the other solvers, why destroy the other, drone, like the worker drones, if they didn't have any threat of getting the solver in them? I'm just saying that's one thing. We have some plot holes like Doll and everything, but those ones kind of get answered later on. And Doll's also kind of dead, so sorry Doll fans, I made a video for you guys. But also, like I said, Some of these characters didn't get enough screen time. Lizzie, Fad, you guys didn't get enough screen time. Khan especially didn't get enough screen time, where Khan probably should have gotten more screen time in this episode. But hey, these disappointments / flaws don't mean that it wasn't a good ending. It was amazing and perfect. It did have its flaws, but let's talk about the good stuff in this episode. The emotional payoff. This episode had to end a bunch of major arcs. V's, N's, and Uzi's. All of them were beautifully done. The payoff for each of the arcs, you could feel it. With V, you felt it towards the end when she was saving everyone. For N, it was when he finally confessed to Uzi and finally became his own person. And for Uzi, it was finally standing up to everything. Standing up to her fears, being confident in herself. And we have to thank Nori for that. The visuals and animation on this episode, amazing, peak. Way better than episode 1, which is a good thing. But also, it didn't feel like it was too overdone. Some shows, they change the animation style so much where it becomes unrecognizable to its previous style. I'll give a good example of that. Probably Pokemon's the best example, where if you watch the first couple seasons, it looks completely different and looks like a completely different show. Now I'm going to sound like an English teacher for this, but the themes and the visuals. Oh my god, the beginning of MD, there weren't that many colors being used, not that many shiny things. Towards the end, more colors were being used. Still to tell, like, the reason why there wasn't colors early on, it was meant to be more darker, more gory, more that. It still was able to show that with colors, but by using different colors and everything. I know, I'm sounding like an English teacher, why am I doing this to myself? But yeah, like I said, the themes and the visuals make sense for it. The shininess of everything, the clean animation style, it still makes sense. So, Absolute End is both disappointing and it's both disappointing but yet an amazing finale. If I had to rate it out of all MD episodes, this is probably my second or third favorite. And I can admit it. To admit that you love a show, you have to admit there's some flaws in the show. And from what we can tell, episode 8 does have its flaws. But the flaws aren't able to outshine the positives of the episode. And I think the execution of this could have been slightly better, but it was perfectly executed. But yeah, in conclusion, Absolute End isn't perfect. It kind of feels frustrating that it was rushed, and we knew Glitch was not going to make more than 8 episodes at this point. And it partially felt incomplete, but it's also yet a powerful and very memorable episode. For a lot of people, they will remember this episode over episodes like episode 6 or episode 5 especially. But for me, personally, I remember Absolute End more than I remember episode 6. And a lot of people loved episode 6 because it was memorable because V died in that episode. But yeah, the way Murder Drones ended is, as I'm going to say how Lund would say it, flawed yet perfect. This is my question all to you. Did episode 8 disappoint you, or was it the perfect ending? Because I genuinely want to know your thoughts on this episode. Remember people, please like and subscribe and comment down below. That helps the channel a lot, even though it doesn't seem like it helps it out that lot. But yeah, this is Panzer for Panzerverse. I'm going to be heading out, and you can come in and give your outro to people. I'll see you all soon, people.
Well, you all heard from the man himself. He wants a damn girlfriend, so you better subscribe to help get him a girlfriend. Well, I hope to see you all later, and hope to see you all back on Panzerverse soon.